What is happening, Bairns? Welcome to In the KM, One South Standards point of view on all things navy blue. As always, I'm your host Ray, and today's video we are here to talk about something I don't really want to talk about all that much, to be perfectly honest, but I would be doing you all a disservice if I didn't still record and upload this video and take the time out to have a chat with you all about this. And there are a few things I want to get off my chest here, so just be warned, this might go into rant territory a wee bit today, but I still want to make sure that I'm uploading these videos, because I don't want to just pick and choose when I'm uploading, only upload when we win games. It's disingenuous, it's no honest, and as a lot of you will know, there's a certain Hamilton Accies supporter that was picking and choosing when to upload last season, and it comes off as a bit tin pot. Like, we've still got to talk about the draws and we've got to talk about the losses. I don't really want to talk about a loss, especially a loss where there's a few things I'm quite annoyed about. But let's just, without further ado, let's get into things then, shall we? So, the game yesterday, we end up losing the game 1-0, right? And I think that whilst I think that we can't really have any complaints, see, at the same time, I think that there was really no all that much in it, and I think that on the other side of things, that Livingston they'll be happy that they won the game. But I feel like it had draw written all over it. And see as well, just before I go any further in this, before I start getting some things off my chest here, is I do want to congratulate Livingston. I want to say, well done for getting the 3 points. I think that Martindale did get his tactics spot on. I think they outthought us at times and out-battled us. And we really struggled to create anything of note in the whole 90 minutes. I mean, it was a poor spectacle overall, though, let's be honest. It was an absolutely fucking murder game of football that I don't want to be spending money to watch games like that too often this season. I don't know about anybody else. But as you can as well, in my last video, that I'd predicted that we were going to win, and I think that if we play anywhere near our best, that we can win games like this. But the issue that we've got, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this, right? So please do let me know, and none of the usual YouTuber crap, and pointing down and all that. I want to just have a conversation with anybody else that wants to get a few things off their chest about this as well. Like, I'm frustrated because I don't think that we showed our best side. Now, I'm no saying the performance was appalling and this player needs dropped, and none of that spitting the dummy out nonsense. I think that we were below par on the day, but I still think we probably could have nicked a draw out of this. But there's quite a lot of players that had off days, unfortunately, and when you're talking like 7 or 8 of the starting 11 no really performing on the day, this is the kind of thing that can happen. You can lose games of football. And something else as well is that over the last 24 hours or so, I've seen like supporters other football teams, including some of my mates as well that support other teams, messaging, going on forums and stuff, saying that, is this a bubble burst? Are we seeing the downward spiral of Falkirk now? Oh, here we go. This is them declining, and it's like, look, calm yourselves, right? This is all going to be a long season. It's 36 games. The Championship is probably the most competitive league in the country. It was never going to be this straightforward. Before a ball was kicked, I was like, it would be amazing to be 9 points clear. It would be amazing to even just get the 4 points out of the next 2 games, Livingston and Queen's Park. But we're all realistic enough that we know this is going to be really difficult. We're maybe enjoying ourselves a wee bit because, my God, this club has been through some amount of shite over the last few years, some of which I'm only just aware of and haven't even experienced firsthand, but you all know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying where we're at, and people just want to try and take that away. I don't understand it. I don't understand where all this jealousy and like bitterness comes from. It's beyond me. But aye, it seems like there's so many folk out there that are just absolutely desperate to see us fail, and I don't know why. Have we? Is this club no paid their dues? Like, did we not suffer enough? I don't get it. But aye, the we're still enjoying ourselves. We're still top of the league by 3 points, and even if things don't go our way against Queen's Park, we've still got a cushion with the goal difference as well. Things are still going okay. Like, no one's panicking, no one's overreacting. It's a disappointing result where we didn't play very well, and the team we played against, I don't think, played particularly well either. And it's just one of those games where one chance is the difference on the day, and something else that's I was going to say depressing, disappointing. I suppose it is a wee bit depressing actually, but another disappointing aspect to that is just how similar yesterday's game felt to the game against Wraith Rovers earlier in the season up at Starks Park, where it's a nothing game. It's got draw written all over it, and we somehow contrived to lose a game that really should have ended as a draw. And it's through our own lapse in concentration, it's through our own mistake. And unfortunately, it's the same player that does it both times. Now, I'm not digging out Dylan Tate when I say that, but it's a fact that he made a mistake for both of those goals. And look, again, I'm not digging the boy out, because he will gain us so many more points than what he would ever lose with slack passing or bad decisions. But whilst we praise players for all the good that they do, it wouldn't be right if we didn't then also have a conversation about the things that they've done wrong. And so many of the players yesterday, they'll know themselves that they didn't show the best version of themselves. The issue that we have with the game yesterday is that we all knew exactly how Livingston were going to play before a ball was kicked. Ask anybody exactly how they were going to play, and it's no surprise that's exactly how they ended up playing in the game, right? The issue I've got is that how were we playing into their hands so much? This is the thing I don't understand, because you've seen Livingston. I've got a blueprint of how they play, and it's been the same for years, where they want to keep things compact in the middle and they want to funnel teams out wide. So that they have to resort to punting balls into the box, where their monsters at the back will mop up everything and anything. We've seen the likes of Rangers and Celtic even fall into this trap, and it's meat and drink to them. And the issue I've got is that we weren't able to combat that. We didn't have a game plan to stop that, and that's the thing that's really disappointing, because we are a good footballing side, and anybody that's watching this that isn't a Falkirk supporter and that, like, forget all the banter and all the shite patter that folks spew, and that we play decent football. We should be good enough to be able to break this kind of tactic down. But as we've seen against Wraith Rovers as well, it seems like that when teams they play compact and they stifle us in midfield, sorry folks, that we really struggle, because everything goes through the likes of Tate and Spencer, and we do like to bomb down the wings, but the issue that we had with Livingston as well is that they were doubling up every time, but then keeping things compact everywhere else, and just making it incredibly difficult. So the answer that we had to that was punting the ball long to Ross McKeever, who came back into the starting lineup for Gary Oliver, which, as you know, in my previous video, I called for that, and I was in praise of that decision by John McGlynn before a ball was kicked. I thought that we would need his physicality, because they are a strong physical side. It was a no-brainer to put him back into the starting lineup. So I'm not going to criticise John McGlynn for taking Gary Oliver out and putting Ross McKeever there, because I'm not convinced that Gary Oliver suddenly changes the dynamic of the entire match. I don't think that's the case. I think that Livingston have got one way of playing, and one way only, and we just struggled to match it on the day. We weren't physical enough. We allowed ourselves to get, I don't want to say bullied, but there were times where we were just sort of overran a wee bit. Leon McCann seemed to be targeted a wee bit by Livingston. I don't know if that's being harsh or no, but something else I want to talk about, and keep it together, Ray, keep it together. Now, I mentioned about going into rants, right? Here we go. And I know some other people say that they watch this with their kids and grandkids and things like that. You might want to skip this next part or cover their ears or whatever, because there's no chance I'm going to be able to talk about the referee for the next 5 minutes without cursing and swearing like a trooper. It's fucking impossible. Like, my blood's getting up just thinking about Ian Snedden, not the photographer, the referee yesterday. It's mad, right? Because as I was watching the game, and we will discuss in a bit more detail how fucking abysmal this referee was yesterday. But during the game, I turned to my mate Bob, that was at the game. Shout out to Bob, by the way. I turned to him and I said, "This is genuinely the worst refereeing performance since we played Kelty Hearts at home last season when we beat them 2-1. And it was Ian Snedden that day. And then when somebody pointed out to me, by the way, that's the same referee, I was just like, of course it is. Of course it's Ian fucking Snedden again. Like, this is something as well, by the way. If anybody that is watching that primarily watches, like, you know, Scottish Premiership, if you're Rangers supporter or Celtic, Aberdeen, whatever, that folk complain about the best referees in this country, right? The likes of Nick Walsh, David Dickinson, and Kevin Clancy, and a stream of other ones that are now retired as well. You know, like the likes of Bobby Madden and Willie Collum. I could rhyme off all the names, right? Everybody moans about them, but here's the thing: try being one of us and being saddled with these absolute fucking diddies on a weekly basis that are just beyond incompetent to a point where it's actually, you start laughing at how bad it is. Like, this is somebody that's just spectacularly bad at their job. It's the only one that really comes to mind that's on the same sort of level of atrociousness as Ian Snedden is Grant Irvin. I think that's his name. We had him a couple of times last season as well. Apparently he's from Falkirk as well, so I don't know if he goes into these games like trying to make sure he's no giving the Falkirk any kind of advantage, so he goes overcompensates way too much in the other direction. But that, I'm not wanting to talk about him. I want to talk about Ian fucking Snedden yesterday, right? This referee allowed Livingston to kick lumps out of us for 90 minutes. Some of the challenges on Brad Spencer as well were fucking appalling. There was one where he must have been launched about 15 feet into the air. It was a farce. It was almost comical at times. It felt almost as if Livingston could do no wrong. They were allowed to do whatever they wanted. I lost count of the amount of times where there was like body checking or somebody getting completely shoved to the ground, like one of our players getting shoved to the ground. The referee just waves play on, and then 10 seconds later we do something similar, instant foul for it without hesitation. And the thing that winds folk up, the thing that really winds me up about this, it's the lack of consistency, right? It's you want to have the game flow. You don't want to keep blowing for wee niggly fouls, like soft variety fouls. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But it's when you've got a very clear situation where there's a referee that is allowing one team to do something but not the other team. And look, I know this starts sounding like conspiracy theory pish, right? But I don't go into conspiracy theories. I tend to think that conspiracies are a lot of the time are for stupid people to feel smart, right? I don't buy into any of that. I don't understand why Ian Snedden does this, but we've had him a few times at this point, and it's always the same. But yesterday was by far the worst example of it, where there was times as well where one of your players got wiped out and he does he plays the advantage, and then afterwards you can go back and speak to them and you're like, it's a blatant yellow, he's tried to stop a counter attack, and you wave play on but you don't even go back and book him. And then there was other times where one of the Livy players got booked eventually because he just had to book him because you can't just keep letting him do it. But he was on a tightrope the rest of the match, and I swear there was like 2 or 3 fouls he must have committed after that, and not including the ones that he got away with as well. But aye, it's absolutely infuriating, troops, because you just want consistency. If you're gonna be a pish ref, fine, be pish for both teams. But the issue that we've got, and look, I'm not making excuses here because I've already gave Livingston their credit. Well done, you've got the 3 points in that. Nay, I'm not getting into sour grapes or anything like that. But the thing that ties in with this, right, is you've got a team that want to be overly physical and disrupt the game at every opportunity, and you've got a fucking ref that plays into that at every opportunity and allows a team to do this constantly. Like, I lost count of the amount of times where Brad Spencer and Aidan Nisbet were remonstrating with the referee, and they were pointing here and here, like telling him like all the different things that he's missed. It's diabolical how bad this guy's performance was. And look, I'm not talking about like a specific flashpoint where, oh, we should have had a penalty, or he gave them a penalty, or missed something major. It's basic incompetence that we're talking about here. It's just no allowing a team to get any sort of benefit of the doubt and just completely being in favour of one team over the other. Look, and folks say these things all the time, but honestly, man, anybody that was there, I'd love to know if there is a Livingston supporter watching this. I know there only is about 5 years, but if there is a Livingston supporter watching this, please do give me your honest assessment on that refereeing performance. And again, without any pish patter or banter or anything like that, how atrocious was that referee? You must have been sitting there in the stand, Livingston supporters, honestly, and just laughing at how bad this referee was, and just how he just kept giving you everything all game. It was unreal. It really was. But what are we going to do? All that will happen is you'll just have supporters of other teams just laughing at us and like, oh, they're greeting about referees and oh, sour grapes, or grasping at straws and all that. Look, can we have an adult conversation about this just for 1 minute, please? And just accept some facts here. The standard of refereeing in this country is fucking terrible. It is. And is anything ever going to change? Is this all we can hope for? Is to just be absolutely fuming at referees every single week? Like, I want to go and enjoy football. I'm so sick that the referees always having to be pantomime villains. It's really fucking boring. I don't know if anybody else feels the exact same way here, but like, a referee should be anonymous in a game. We shouldn't know referees' names. Like, I shouldn't be able to rhyme off all these referees' names, but they're just so like, they drive you up the fucking wall with how terrible they are. I don't want to speak about referees anymore because I'm just going to get myself worked up. That's actually why I didn't upload the video last night, by the way, because I was still so wound up about it, and I didn't want to upload a video whilst I was still pissed off about it. So I just left it, right? I'm getting wound up again. So that's all I've got to say on the likes of Ian Snedden. Absolutely tremendous referee, best in the country by far. He is so deserving of whatever he gets paid for the job he does. Fantastic referee. Honestly, get him into the Premiership, get him doing cup finals and that. Tremendous. So, in terms of the game overall, I think that you've got a couple of players, as I've mentioned earlier, that can hold their heads high and say that they gave the best version of themselves. I think that Luke Graham had another fantastic game at centre half. Now, I'm starting to get worried about Luke Graham. I don't know what any of you think on this, but I'm starting to think that there must be folk from Dundee looking at him in more detail and realising this guy's a baller. This guy's top class. He strolled another game and he was so unlucky not to score. He gets the ball, but 30 yards out or so and drives forward with the ball, because that's something that we're seeing emerge for him, is that he's pretty good at stepping into midfield with the ball. That there's You could probably make an argument that he could play in a midfield role similar to the way that Hendo can as well. He looks comfortable with the ball driving forward with it, and he hits a shot and it just goes just wide. It was well into the second half at that point. I think it was maybe only about 15 minutes left. I've not watched any of the highlights. I don't really want to watch them, to be honest. I was already there yesterday. I already seen that big steaming pile of pish yesterday. I don't want to watch it again. And again, that's no me slaughtering the Falkirk team. Don't get me wrong on this. That's not what it is. The game was just abysmal from both sides. There was just such a lack of quality and everything. I don't want to watch any highlights of that again. I've already seen it. So Luke Graham played pretty well. Hendo again played well. Also, like I say, there was a nothing game. There wasn't much in it at all. Like they get this one opportunity from Dylan Tate collecting the ball, going back towards his own goal, and he makes the wrong decision. He gets the ball robbed off him, and Yenge hits an absolute perler of a shot for about 25 yards. That's what it was going to take. It was going to take a worldie like that to break the deadlock, because outside of that, Livingston done nothing. They didn't create any real chances. But that's the way they play, isn't it? They're not interested in really going out there and taking games by the scruff of the neck and trying to win games. They're more interested in stifling opposition, rolling around on the ground. But as soon as they do any challenges, they're forceful as fuck. But you've just got to fucking brush them, and they're doing like a sack of tatties. It's the Livingston we all know and love. Nothing's changed in that regard. So the second we go a goal down, I was already fearing the worst, because you don't want to go a goal down to this team, because they're horrible. They're nasty to play against. They are like the constant time wasting, the guys going down with cramp after 60 minutes. Give me a break, honestly. Like, this is a team that was in the Premiership last season. You tell me you can't even run for 60 minutes? Nah. This is another thing as well, by the way, just as one final thing to do with referees. Why do referees fall for this kind of con job and all, when you know that players aren't injured, and you can tell that they're wasting time? You can do that, referee. You can point at your watch and all that and say the time's being added on, but it still doesn't help the team that is actually pressing and attacking, because it kills the momentum of the game and allows them a breather. Like, so go ahead, add the time on and that, but it's still allowing them to do exactly what they want to do, which is just completely, like I said, kill the momentum of the game and slow things down. And that's what they done the entire match at the stadium the last time they were there, and that's exactly what they done this time as well. What we need to do as a team is we need to come up with a better game plan of how we can combat this kind of nonsense. We need to be stronger, and we need to be braver, and because I believe we can play through teams when they play like this, right? But we do need to be braver, instead of just lumping the ball up top or just forcing the ball out wide to hit aimless crosses into the box all game. We need to be able to actually play through this and stand up to them. And I think that's maybe where you get into a conversation of, did we miss Hendo in midfield yesterday? And it's hard to argue other than that, because he does give us that bit more bite in midfield, and I don't see him getting bullied. Again, I don't want to say bullied, because that comes off the wrong way, but I think that they were more physical than what we were, and I think that Hendo could have given us a bit more of that dig in midfield, but needs must. I mean, we've still not got called back, so it's not like we had the choice. It's not like McGlynn could have played him in midfield. So that's no a criticism on McGlynn either. It's just one of the things. We didn't match them, and we didn't play well enough. and we just kept going down the wings. We do try to change things in the second half. We bring on the likes of Gary Oliver and Callum Morrison as well. And Callum Morrison is unlucky at one point where he hits a cross come shot and the keeper manages to just palm it over for a corner. It could have ended up going anywhere. You've got to give credit as well, by the way, because again, I really don't want this to just be like it's sour grapes. I'm making excuses and that, but Livingston did defend well. But here's the issue I have with that, because there is a caveat to it. They defended in the areas that they wanted to defend in for the whole match. They wanted us to hit crosses into the box. Like I said, Martindale, I remember there was a game against Rangers where Martindale came out after the game and said that they knew that's how Rangers were going to play, and they had set up for them to just hit crosses all the time, and it feels like we played into their hands a wee bit. I don't necessarily want to say it's naive, but at the same time, if your game plan is nullified and you start playing the exact way that the opposition want you to play, you're probably not going to win the match. It would have been some sort of fluky or lucky goal. That do you know what I mean, troops, when I say this? That you can watch a game and you can tell that tactically we're no winning the match. That it's going to take something random. It's going to take like a random break of the ball or a player accidentally giving away a penalty or something like that. But the tactics that we're using aren't going to be what wins the game. It's just not going to pan out like that. So it's no surprise that we don't end up scoring in the game. In fact, I don't really remember their keeper having any saves to make, and that's particularly disappointing as well. But here's the thing also, is that we don't have any divine right to win these games. We're no like 10 times better than any of the teams that we play. We play better football than teams, and we can, if anybody tried to go toe to toe with us, I would say that we would probably beat them in terms of the style that we play and how fast we move the ball and things. The issue that we've got is that it seems that when teams want to be compact and don't want to come out and want to stifle us, that we have an issue with breaking that down and overcoming that. And that's where I think that we really need to develop another facet to our play. We need to have an answer to this, because the issue that we have is that the more it's documented that this is effective against us, the more teams are just going to do it. And maybe against the teams at the bottom, we're going to still be able to beat them because they don't have the defenders that Livingston do. But things are going to get more difficult from here on in, and that's a fact. And I still believe that we're good enough to win the league. We're still 3 points clear, as I've said, but I think that we are going to need to come up with something else to combat this, and we need to be more physical. We need to be more aggressive, and not allow teams to run over the top of us, regardless of wanker referees like Ian Snedden, who want to give them every single decision and no boot players. And I'm not going back over this. The only other thing as well is that there is an elephant in the room when we talk about us not being able to play our normal game, is the pitch. So again, I don't make any excuses here, because regardless of whatever myth anybody wants to put out there about how abysmal their pitch is and how much of a leveller it is, it's not like Livingston never lose a game at home. They do lose games at home, and they got relegated last season. So it's not like they were that was keeping them in the league or anything like that. It means that you can't play good football on that pitch, and the ball's in the air 90% of the match. But that's where we need to come up with something else. Like you seen the way the ball was bobbling, that it was impossible to play slick, fast moving football on it. The amount of times it was getting caught under people's feet, and the bounce was just completely catching people off guard. I mean, that's probably the poorest our passing's been this season. And I think that we had an off day, but at the same time, we can't pretend that the pitch doesn't play a part in that, because it does. But again, we are good enough to overcome that, and that's the thing that's most disappointing. But again, that's we don't have any right to just go into these games and win. We need to earn the right to win these games, and we need to play better than the opposition, and we didn't do that, unfortunately. But I do think that we'll bounce back for this really, really quickly. I've got no concerns about how we go from here. This team have got an incredible strength of character, and they'll all be really disappointed with how that game went yesterday. But I'm 100% confident that they'll bounce back from it, and I would really be hoping for the 3 points against Queen's Park. If we play to our best, we can beat them, and that's something that we've made a habit of. There's been a couple of hiccups here and there, but we get back on the horse and we get going again. And everybody was like, oh, that's the wheels falling off when we lost to Wraith Rovers, and then when we drew with Livy that last time, and then drew with Partick Thistle, we went on a wee bit of run after that. If we go on a wee bit of a run, we'll be absolutely fine, troops, because the type of turgid, abysmal football that Livingston play under Martindale, they will drop a power of points over the season. So am I worried? Nah, no really, because I think that we will win more games of football than what they will, because they're not always going to get a lucky break like a 25-yard bingo into the top corner. There will be times where they don't create a single chance and they get their just rewards, which is a stinky 0-0 draw. That will happen. It's already happened a few times with them, and the thing as well is that you don't just lose 3-0 to the likes of Dunfermline as a blip. You know, they've got a gaff in them. Unfortunately, they played the best of their ability yesterday, and we didn't get any change out of them. But that's the thing as well. They played the absolute best that they could, and it was only 1-0 with a really lucky. It's a brilliant goal. Like, I'm not trying to take it in and away from it, but it's no like it was the result of tactics. It was we gifted them the ball, and then he just hits a bingo into the top corner. Let I say, it's a case of that. I think that we'll get those points back. There's not a chance on earth that we don't, as long as we do stand up to them and be a bit braver next time. And bear in mind, we should already beat them anyway, if not for a bloody linesman. Sorry, I'm not getting into it again, but we need to be targeting the 3 points against Queen's Park if we still want to be winning this league. It's as simple as that. Now, some people say that's putting pressure on the team, and that again we've not got any right to say that we want to be beating teams before a ball's kicked. Look, if we all want to get double promotion, this is what it takes. This is what the standards need to be. If we lose a game, we need to bounce back straight away and get 3 points. Going to Hampden and getting a draw won't cut the mustard, because then seeds of doubt start creeping in. If we go out and beat them next week, then this Livingston result could end up it's a non-issue. Like, who cares? Because we all know that they're going to drop points, and we just need to make sure that we keep winning games and they drop points first, and then things will be fine. Again, I'm not worried. There's no panic stations or anything like that. I still believe that we can win the league, but I just, when it comes to these games where it's like a nothing game and we somehow contrive to lose them, it's really disappointing, man. Like, we probably shouldn't have lost that game yesterday, but at the same time we didn't deserve to win it either. But that's really all I've got to say. I've ranted about this long enough. So thank you all again so much for watching. I really, really do appreciate that people want to watch these videos and listen to what I've got to say. Again, as I've said before, I'm just an idiot with a camera and too much time on my hands. I'm no an authority on anything. I don't claim to speak on behalf of anybody else. It's just my opinion. Again, if you haven't already, if you could please like, share and subscribe, and please do leave a wee comment, because I respond to every comment that's posted on there. I love talking about this football team. I love discussing how things are going and that. So I appreciate that as well, that some of you might be a bit wound up about things as well, particularly the referee. Please do share your thoughts in the comments below. I really do appreciate the interactions. But aye, thank you all so much for watching. Take care and bye bye.